Is President Obama dealing in reality when it comes to the global war on radical Islam? For years, he's based his foreign policy on things like closing Gitmo, ending the war in Iraq, winding down operations in Afghanistan, and he's also promised us that al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat.
Make no mistake, we will close Guantanamo prison.
Tonight, I am announcing that the American combat mission in Iraq has ended.
We're leaving behind a sovereign, stable, and self-reliant Iraq. And meanwhile, we will continue the work of devastating al-Qaeda's leadership and denying them a safe haven. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and bin Laden is dead.
Al-Qaeda is much weaker than it was when I came into office.
And in some cases, I believe we compromised our basic values by using torture to interrogate our enemies. We have removed our troops from Iraq. We are winding down our war in Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda's leadership on the border region between Pakistan and Afghanistan has been decimated, and Osama bin Laden is no more.
Doesn't look like the American people are buying it. A brand new Wall Street Journal post says that 57% of Americans disapprove of Obama's handling of foreign policy, an all-time high. How high can you go? Bowling, you have some differences of opinion on this, but this is not a good day for the president. This poll reflecting serious dismay on behalf of the American people at the way this administration and Mr. Obama has handled his foreign policy.
Yeah, and every day we wake up and there's something else going on in the Middle East. There's something else going on in Iraq. ISIS is taking control of one of the major refineries in Iraq, and that's concerning for the people of the Middle East, not necessarily us because it's refined product, but if they get their hands on the oil installations, you may see oil prices go, which brings us back to what the real solution in the Middle East is, in my opinion. I get beat up every night on Twitter. Bowling, you've been sitting next to Beckel too long. What's wrong with you? Did the White House send their talking points to you yet? No, I haven't. I'm still conservative. No, I don't listen to the White House. I think the best way to handle all of this is becoming completely independent from Middle Eastern oil. And it's not that far away.
But why can't you have both?
Listen to me. It's 1.2 million barrels away from Saudi Arabia and about 600 to 700,000 barrels away from the other countries in OPEC. And we are done with them. We use 20 million barrels of oil a day. So we're literally less than 2 million barrels away. That's 10% away from doing this ourselves. Just frack on federal lands, drill offshore, and open the Keystone Pipeline. 1, 2, 3, and we are done with those cockroaches forever.
I think that it's part of the issue and part of the problem. I think it's like, multi-layered solution here that you have to come forward with, because you can't operate in a vacuum and be naive to assume that if we just let Rome burn, it's going to be fine. That's not the case. I mean, they have bigger goals and agendas here, which they are actually achieving in a rapid rate because the U.S. sits back and waits. Dana.
I agree. American ingenuity can actually solve a part of this problem,
yes.
And it is the oil part or the energy part of this. But if everybody seems to agree that all options should be on the table when it comes to energy, so if we could actually get our Congress and our president to work together on that, along with the governors, because they're a big part of this, and the environmentalists are going to have to come to the table. I mean, all of that, it sounds like it's really, if we could get off of foreign oil tomorrow, we would probably in our best interest we would do so. It takes a longer time. And in the meantime, this group, the ISIS, as they take more and more territory, what they are also building with them is they're bringing along more and more people. So there are about 150 at least foreign fighters that we know that have left European countries, some from America, that have gone to get training there and are feeding itself back. So what you have is they aren't that concerned about oil over there. What they're concerned about is destroying our way of life and killing anything that disagrees with that.
So how can we ignore it?
I don't think that we can, although today when the president met with the bipartisan leadership in the Oval Office, it seemed that he was basically still weighing his options. And I think I think there are no good options, but I also think we're kind of running out of time to exercise any that we would have.
Okay, but airstrike seems to be a reasonable option that should be on the table, one that he should consider, because it will at least slow this down so that he can ponder and think some more, sitting on a rock and decide what he's going to do about this situation. Because we have lost ground here. And I'm sorry, it's not just an issue of al-Qaeda or any of these other groups or Ansar al-Sharia or ISIS. This is a whole thought process and ideology out to destroy the American way of life. And it's the guy, the 21-year-old, that starts believing this, that goes and blows himself up at the Starbucks across the street that you have to worry about next. So sit here and do nothing, and you'll see what's going to happen. Tom, are you scared yet?
I'm getting scared as you talk. But I want to ask Eric, I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but is it really about barrels of oil? Isn't it about American, is American influence antiquated?
Is what about that?
Our receding from responsibility in the Middle East, if we pull back, isn't it really not about oil, but rather about America's influence in the world? When we pull out, Russia and China get more powerful. Isn't that really the case? Or am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure what you're asking me. Yeah,
I'm saying
guess what? Forget Russia. China is going to be the global superpower. And what do we need to start fighting the Chinese now? Are we going to pick fights with the Chinese?
Isn't that what being a country is about? I used to play Risk as a kid. Don't you have to you got to keep your skin in the game? I'm saying if we say it's over, like what you were referencing, let's get independent and we'll just get out of that region altogether, which is what Al Qaeda wants, right? I mean, that is their wish, is for us to get off the Arabian Peninsula completely. But when we do that,
we win. We don't lose bodies and money. They win. They want us off their soil anyway, and we're energy independent. It seems to me like it's a win-win-win.
But what are you going to do about the threat level, the threat to Americans? I don't understand why you're.
Help me out here.
Because I'm trying to help you out.
Okay.
I agree with you about energy independence, but I think you're being politically naive. With all due respect, and I haven't sent you any tweets talking about but I'm about to during the commercial break about your philosophy, how we handle the Middle East. What have we been doing for all these years to try to secure our position? And now you just go ahead and throw up a white flag?
Here's what we've been doing. We've been losing tens of thousands of bodies to injury, to death, $2 trillion in wars. And what do we have to show for it? The minute we pull back, and within 12 months of pulling back out of Iraq, they're back to the godforsaken place that they were before we went there.
If you don't beat them back, Erica, their way of life will come over here.
My last piece of philosophy, let them have the freaking Middle East. Keep it. It's all yours. With the exception of Israel. Back Israel. Give them money, give them support, give them tanks, give them airplanes, give them a pat on the back, say, you know what, Netanyahu, go get them.
He doesn't want to hear that.
And let me just say, I can't believe that you're attacking Eric for being rational. I mean, the fact is, look, this is not about attacking our way of life. This is about Sunnis and Shia and all their craziness.
And it's about the caliphate, which they're one step closer to achieving.
Those people are nuts. I mean, and you want us in the middle of their nuttiness? That's just crazy. And the second thing to say is, what is it that gives you guys, I mean, especially the hardcore Republican line? I saw Dick Cheney, former vice president, writing a piece. I mean, Harry Reid said today, if you Republicans know so much, what's your great idea? What do you want? You want to send more young people to die? You want to send Eric's kids to die?
Cheney. Here's somebody who gets it, and it was in the Bush White House. And actually, we were feared and respected in the world, which we don't have right now. So listen to this. He said, American freedom will not be secured by empty threats, meaningless red lines, leading from behind, appeasing our enemies, abandoning our allies, or apologizing for our great nation. All hallmarks to date of the Obama doctrine. Our security and the security of our friends around the world can only be guaranteed with a fundamental reversal of the policies of the past 6 years.
Let me ask you something. Does that guy have no shame? Is that the same guy that got us in the mess the first time that's led to this mess?
You know what?
You know what? I can't believe that the people like Vice President Cheney, I can't believe that there's so many of these guys who want us to go down the same path.
Let me tell you something.
After they were so wrong.
With all due respect, Vice President Dick Cheney knows a lot more about it than anybody at this table.
That's why he was so wrong.
To the intel report.
I see. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he was wrong, Kimberly. We should send more young people to die.
You're the one saying that. No one's wanting to sacrifice American lives. We are doing this so that we don't have to lose more.
Can we also just go? Can we just go back to 12 years ago? Or 12 and a half years ago on 9/11 when we were attacked. We got the surprise attack. We lost 3,000 people down here. We lost hundreds in the Pentagon. Everyone was united in America to go on. So I'm going to disagree with you on why we initially went. My question, and I'm simply saying, we did it for a reason. America needed to do what we needed to do at that point. Things have changed, though. The environment has changed. The American appetite for war is going down. Our ability to satisfy our own oil needs has increased. There are a lot of reasons why, in my opinion, people, just in my little world here, people just don't want to do that again. At that time, it was the right thing to do. This time, I'm going to disagree.
Well, then that's going to be America's Achilles heel, because then we have exhaustion and fatigue to fight our enemies, and that's when they defeat us.
Do you know what Harry Reid said on the Senate floor? He said, listen, are you saying that you would have had Americans stay in Iraq all this time? Is that what Republicans think?
It's just, I think it's really a disservice to be that simplistic in describing the situation. I am fine with going back and with people saying that Bush was wrong. I disagree, but fine. Let's just say that he was wrong. This was the wrong thing to do. Okay, so then you inherit a situation that was actually pacified. You promise that you tell the American people that you will be safer now because we have succeeded in Iraq. The generals tell them to keep more people there in terms of boots on the ground, but also a lot more of the political solution, the diplomatic solution that everybody can agree is a better way to solve a problem. In 2011, when we receded and retreated, we didn't just leave militarily, we left diplomatically and politically as well. That, I think, is also worth reviewing on the history of it, because President Obama did promise, he told Americans that they would be okay. He told them what they wanted to hear. And maybe he believes it as well. So he chased the polls. And now Americans are seeing the results of that and saying, oh, well, we don't like that either. We don't want this and we don't want that. The American president has to sometimes tell the American people what they do not want to hear. I am willing to be led by the president. I just would like to know where we are going.
Right.
Just something. Give us something to go on, because I feel like we're just sitting here with watching our options fade away.
I agree. The too much equivocation, waffling. Tom, get quick thought from you before I wrap it up.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know. Again, I feel dumb because I'm not a foreign policy expert, but I feel like it is a little more than just being about oil. It's kind of interesting looking at you two guys, because I feel like everyone talks about politics as left and right, but it's definitely a circle, because Eric is so far right, he's to the left of Juan.
Yeah, but you said you feel dumb. Don't worry. This is the Council on Foreign Relations. We're so smart about foreign relations.
We couldn't do much worse.
Exactly.
There we go. All right. We're going to educate during the commercial break, so stick around.